Is your home stuck on the market while others aren't selling? Today, we're going to talk about why that is and what you can do about it. My name is Christa Powell. I'm a realtor based here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I have 14 years of experience in marketing and sales. And I'm happy to share that with you. So today, we're going to talk about the current market landscape, um, common reasons homes don't sell, which are things like pricing, marketing concerns, property condition and presentation, limited showing availability, the skill set of your real estate agent. And then we'll also touch at the very end, so wait till then, on some solutions and some steps that you can take to help with that. So first off, let's talk about market conditions. Right now, the market is what a lot of people would say who've been in this industry a really long time, normalizing, meaning we're never going to go back to, at least we should not go back to, those days that some of us may remember within the past 4 years or 5 years, where interest rates were super, super low, less than 4%, and there were bidding wars. I mean, a house wouldn't stay on the market for 5 minutes. That's not a normal market by any stretch of the imagination. And that's part of the reason why decisions were made by the Fed to increase the interest rates to where they are today. And so what that means for you, the person selling your house, is that it's more of a normalized market. This is a normal market where a house sits on the MLS, anywhere from 15 to 30 days, sometimes a little bit longer. That is a more of a normal market. Interest rates historically have averaged somewhere around 7 to 8%. So right now, as of February 2025, we're sitting just under 7%. This is a pretty good, pretty normal market. So that's something to keep in mind. However, the thing that is a major issue is affordability. And price is always in an open market like we're in. Price is always impacted by supply. And because of the great financial crisis that some of us may remember back from 2007, 2008, because of that, a lot of builders and building companies and things that support building of homes went out of business. And so there is still, and depending on the metro area that you're in, there's a shortage, and that shortage can vary dramatically from market to market. In Atlanta, I've heard as little as 7 and as much as 15-year backlog in terms of housing. So, anytime something is rare, it's a little more expensive. And so affordability is also an issue. And so there's this weird sort of mix that's happening right now between interest rates being quote unquote normal, but supply still not being quite there to what we would expect. And so sometimes it feels more like a buyer's market because of that. Other times it may feel more like a seller's market. It's in between. And so that can definitely impact how you price your home and how long also it's going to sit on the market. So these are going to impact buyer behavior in that buyers are going to take their time and be very thoughtful, and they're going to be very concerned about, the list price of a home and how much they're able to purchase the home for, because that's going to be heavily impacted by their interest rates. And please, if you want to know how interest rates could impact you as a seller, click on this link right here and you can watch that video that I posted about that. Now, pricing issues. So here we are. We're talking about the importance of proper pricing. Pricing is not a personal or emotional thing. It's not something that I, as a realtor, decide, nor is it something that we can just pull a number out of the air. It has to be based on what's happening in the market, because the market is what determines the pricing 100% of the time. And so you and I, you as my client, me as your agent, we're going to have to think about our pricing strategy and what makes sense. So we're going to look at things like what's currently on the market, what has sold recently within your geographic area, of course, and also, any upcoming trends or things that may be happening, things we need to be aware of, new developments, things of that nature. Like if you're here in Atlanta, on the south side, the Beltline is really expanding now. And so if you are in a home that's within, a 5 to 10 minute walk of the Beltline, that is something that you're going to want to think about, even if it's not open yet. If it's going to be open soon, that could impact the pricing of your home. And so these are the sorts of things, how close are you to major commercial areas where a lot of people are working? As we're seeing more people being requested to work full-time in the office and go back to the office, that's something you want to think about, because we all know that Atlanta traffic is a thing. No one's going to pretend like it's not, least of all me. That would be dishonest. I don't do dishonest. So that's the thing to keep in mind. So I want to remember that. Now, what you also want to make sure you're not doing is overpricing your home. I know you want it to be worth $700,000. I know you do. Unless, of course, it is. It isn't. And I think we have to come to a place, and that's where your realtor comes in. Come to a place where we can be a little bit detached about the pricing and really think about it in terms of what we want. Are we really, really focused on getting a certain amount of money out of the sale of this property? That's one goal. The other goal is we need to get out of here tomorrow. Maybe you've already found your next home. If you're, purchasing new construction, for example, they tend to have pretty strict deadlines in terms of when you're going to close. And my experience has been that there's a little wiggle room there, but not a lot of wiggle room. And so you may need this house to be sold fairly quickly in order to be able to take on the mortgage for the next home, because you may or may not be able to support 2 mortgages. To be fair, most of us cannot support 2 mortgages. And so that's something also to keep in mind, that you want to be able to get rid of primary home in order to get to the next primary home. And so there we're looking at speed. So we're always balancing those 2 things, right? Speed and how much money we're trying to make. That's the balance. And if you want it to be fast and you want it to be relatively painless, we're going to have to be a little more aggressive with the price. If you are okay with the house sitting on the market for a long time, we could maybe go higher on the price, but even then, it's not necessarily the best idea. And the reason why is because prolonged time in the market means that the house gets, for lack of a better word, stale. And when things are stale, now you're starting to get maybe really lowball offers. You're starting to get a little less interest. People are starting to think, what's wrong with that house? And you may end up selling the home for less than you had even really wanted to. What was your bottom number before? You may have to go less than that just to move the property. And so that's another thing. So it's always important to find that balance between the amount of money you want to make and how long it's comfortable for a home to sit on the market. Again, if you have any questions, that's what I'm here for, to educate and inform. So let me know what your thoughts are so far about this. Now, moving on to marketing. This is my happy place. I love marketing. I could spend all day talking about this, but I won't, because that would be boring. And that's not why we have a YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel to give you information in a reasonable manner. So, marketing. Marketing is about getting the most eyeballs, the largest number of humans, to see your offer, to see your property. So we price it properly, and then we get it in front of as many human beings as possible. So I'm constantly taking courses and learning to maintain my skills in terms of digital marketing, because let's be honest, the internet is where people are. Newspapers, unfortunately, sadly, are dying. And so we really have to be able to get on someone's phone. We have to be able to be in front of them wherever they may be. And so my job as your expert marketer, when I'm your realtor, because that's really part of what I do in order to enable the sale of your home. I don't sell it. You're the seller. I enable the purchase, and I help the process be smooth, is that we need to really focus on good quality marketing. So what that means for you is you want to make sure that you have video. Video is huge. There are statistics to show how much more likely your home is to sell at asking price based on you having video and virtual tours. You want to have things like floor plans. I have the ability to create those. Yay, technology. What else? You want to make sure you have a professional photographer, not somebody's phone, taking really good pictures. Now, when I come to visit you for the first time, take a look at your house, I'm going to take pictures with my phone, because that way I can remember stuff. So when I'm creating descriptions and things of that nature to go on the internets, I have some visual reminders and things I can point out and highlight. But when we're talking about what's actually being shown to the general public, what's actually being shown to potential interested parties, we are talking about really good quality photos. So these are things that matter. You want to have someone who understands social media and having an online presence and how that matters. So these are really big things when it comes to marketing. You also want to have someone who understands how to target and focus marketing, because not everybody is your potential buyer. And it's really important to sell people the thing that they want. So if you have a rambling, amazing, 3-story home in Southeast Atlanta, that may not be desirable for somebody who has mobility issues and is maybe looking to downsize into something smaller. It may be, however, the perfect option for someone with a growing family who wants to have lots of room and be able to entertain lots of people and so on. So it's really important for us to also think about who is the right buyer for you and how to find them online. That's super, super important. Now, something that has happened in my experience working with sellers is limited showing availability. Listen, I get it. You got to live your life while you're selling this house. I so appreciate that. But being super strict or restrictive about when a home can be shown is not helping you. Because remember, we're trying to get rid of this house. And you need to be flexible for the potential buyers. And so that means that you have to create conditions that make it easy for people to see your property. Now, obviously, as I mentioned before, having those virtual tours can really help with that. But you can't be like, well, people can only come see my house on Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m. It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna help you. Because guess what? There are gonna be times where they have their lives too. And maybe it's easier for them to come after work one day or on a Sunday afternoon. Like, you have to be flexible with showing times. And also, I know that for reasons that make complete sense to me, we don't always love the idea of a lockbox or a combination lockbox or anything like that. But guess what? It's better for you to, one, not be there during a showing. I assure you. I know you think you want to be there. You don't. You just don't. But also, it gives you the flexibility that you don't have to be there, or I don't have to be there, or a member of my team doesn't have to be there. We are able to get professional realtors who we know who they are because everything's tracked in and out of the property quickly, easily, and they're able to see. We can also book appointments really easily if you have a lockbox on the home. So it's just better to allow that to happen. Now, the next thing you want to think about after we talked about showing availability is, what are they seeing when they come to see your house? Again, we're busy, and I have a whole other video about this, but you have to keep the house in showing condition. Think about it. If you're going to look at a home yourself, right? So you're selling this property to purchase something else usually, and you're going to look at places. If you walk into like an episode of Hoarders, are you going to be willing to pay asking price for that home unless it's like dumb cheap? No, you're not. You are going to have some concerns. What are you not seeing? And also because you as a seller want that buyer to envision themselves in that space. And we know how it is to walk into a space that's nice and clean and neutral and open because we can place ourselves there. So that means we need to work on our curb appeal. It doesn't mean you got to pay thousands of dollars to have a landscaper, do this amazing front yard. But we need things to be neat. We need things to be tidy. We need things to be somewhat symmetrical. We need things to not be overgrown. We need things to be trimmed. And so curb appeal matters. Having things clean, not having a ton of junk in your front yard or your backyard, to be honest, that matters too. You want to you want to make sure you're reducing all the barriers that could deter buyers, because that's what we need to create, an inviting space. And as I have, a client I'm working with right now, and she's super artsy. I mean, and clearly, your girl loves the art, but it's not for everybody, right? And she has lots of fun, funky pieces all over her house and cool colors. And so that was one of the first conversations that we had was, okay, how are we going to neutralize this space? Because as much as I think she's an amazing creative human, that's not necessarily going to be what the person wanting to purchase that home is looking for, right? So keep that in mind. I know you love your purple wall, but it might have to go just to be available to as many potential buyers as possible. Now, the other thing we want to really talk about is the skill set of your real estate agent. And I know you love your cousin. I know you love your auntie. They're lovely. But are they the best agent for your needs? Because remember earlier we talked about timing and how much money you need to be able to walk away with from the sale of the home. All that stuff matters. And we talked about the marketing and marketing skills and understanding how to do digital marketing as well as traditional marketing. Does the person that you automatically think of have that skill set? Are you interviewing agents? Are you asking them questions about what they're going to do to make sure that as many people as possible see your property in order to get it sold quickly? Now, quickly, also push pin, quickly in relation to the market, right? So we want to keep that in mind. So you do not want to work with an ineffective real estate agent. And that's super important because that skill set is going to really impact how quickly or how slowly your home sells. They need to understand your area. They need to understand the market conditions. They need to know the nuances of houses on that side of a main road maybe sell differently from houses on that side of a main road, because that's how it is. I have worked that situation personally. So it's really important to keep that in mind. Now, what are you going to do about it? So now we're going to talk about the solutions and the strategies. All right. So I really want you to make sure that whomever you work with is giving you a thorough market analysis. I don't need you to be bored to tears, but maybe close. Like, this person really needs to demonstrate that they really understand and are knowledgeable about the market. Someone who says they sell all over Georgia, can they understand all over Georgia? Yes, but it's tricky. Maybe they work with a big enough team, but you're going to ask some questions because you want someone who gets those market dynamics. You also want someone who understands and really does make sure that they're going to invest in professional photography and virtual tours. You just have to. In addition to that, someone who can advise on home improvements. There are tools that I use that can help us estimate how much a home improvement is going to cost. And I also work with a network of professionals. Me and my team, we have people who work in a variety of fields who can help you with anything that you have to do. You want someone who also maybe knows some stagers, has access to staging furniture if you're going to be gone out of the property while it's being sold. And just even understand the concept of staging and what that means in order to create a welcoming environment for potential buyers. And remember, you got to be flexible with those showing times. I know it's going to be a pain in you know what, but you can do anything for a short period of time, right? It doesn't have to be forever. I promise. And you got this. So please let me know any thoughts you have and any questions. So you want to make sure you understand the current market landscape so that you have priced properly. You also want to have a good understanding of how the property is going to be marketed. And you want to make sure that you've done everything in your power to have the property in great condition and in a marketable way. You also want to have some flexibility with your showing times, and you want to work with an agent who is knowledgeable and understands the way that your current market works and also has a good grasp on marketing and how to get your property in front of as many people as possible. Thank you so much for taking the time. Give me a call or shoot me a text at this number right here and implement these strategies. And also let me know if this makes sense to you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. See y'all in the next video.